Recording for Thursday, and I can't figure out how to make it just me, so I thought I'd at least have a cute picture of Sam in the background. But for all three of your classes, I'll go ahead and do a quick video tour. So here is my bookshelf. I think at some point you should see my Christmas lights here, my little crystal lights. And let's see if I could get Sam in. I can't see what's happening, so here's the rest of my living room, and here I am back again. Okay, and now I'm going up to my chair, and we need to get out. There should be two things that you're getting from our substitute teacher today. Thank you. Thanks for being here Thursday and Friday and Wednesday. We're going to get out Jack Morris's paper first, and we're going to go over why it's so well written, and then we're going to go over Gabe Caceres's paper. These are your two models of papers in preparation for your essays, which we're now going to have to bump back to next Thursday. That's a week from today. I'm having to move those because I want you to get back your man's search for meaning essays first and have some time to process what you did well and what you could have done to improve. So we'll actually be starting All My Sons on Monday. That means you guys have to have your books for the book check for 10 points. I'll do the book check for 10 points on Monday, so you need to have those books. So we have Jack Morris's paper. Get that right out in front of you. You got that just today. You have the rubric in front of you that I will be using to score your essays for next Thursday over Nickel and Dimed, over Pathos, Ethos, and Logos, and how Barbara Ehrenreich uses those three appeals to get the readers to care about the individuals portrayed in her book. Now, Jack Morris wrote on a different topic, and our substitute teacher will also be giving you a copy of the prompt. This was actually their essay last year for the final exam. You will not be writing about Nickel and Dime for your final exam, but Jack Morris did a masterful job, as you can see here. Let me just get myself comfortable. He earned an A+. He got a 98 out of 100. And we're going to go ahead and read through his essay and see what he did so well so that you can learn how to mimic that in your own writing, not just for me, but for your professors in college. So first of all, he has to come up with some opening analogy, either an analogy or an allusion to another work. So when you're thinking about Nickel and Dimed and her use of appeals to get us to care, you might want to ask yourself, how did Jonathan Safran Foer get us to care about Oscar? Or how did Lisa Genova get us to care about Alice and the other individuals in her book? And maybe you'll make an allusion to one of those books, and that will be how you start off your essay a week from today. So here, Jack uses an analogy. He starts off with the following sentence. Similar to a broken bone in the human body, a piece of the American free market economy is broken. Interesting analogy. I'm intrigued. The working class is cemented. You see I've put an arrow or a check mark above that to say, nice word choice, in an impoverished lifestyle. Nice. Because look at how he seamlessly integrated the evidence there. He's modeling for you what I need to see at least once in your essays next Thursday. So he writes the following. The working class is cemented in an impoverished lifestyle because wages are too low and rents too high. Close quotes. Page 199. Noticed he moved the period to the appropriate place because he had his tip sheet in front of him, which you'll be allowed to have next Thursday. And when I read that sentence out loud, you cannot tell where Jack's words end with because and where Ehrenreich's words begin with wages. It all blends together, and that's an example of a seamlessly integrated sentence. Not only is there an imbalance between rents and wages, but also between the cost of other materials, food, cosmetics, clothing, and a worker's compensation. I told you I like it when students use dashes effectively to set off some element in their writing, and Jack models that well for you. This failure of a laissez-faire economy, nice, to provide an economic balance for working class families is a major contributing factor of chronic distress. So he's saying there's a failure of our economy to allow people to make a living, and that results in chronic distress. Now, let's see how he proves it in the body of his essay with well-selected evidence that's been seamlessly integrated and appropriately MLA formatted. Let's see if he uses sophisticated diction as well. Because the prices of materials have gone up while minimum wage remains stagnant, lower class workers and their families are distressed. In many cases, minimum wage workers are able to scrap together enough money to afford basic necessities such as food, shelter, and clothing, semicolon. These people, however, effective, do not have enough money to begin a savings up and therefore are stuck, having their dues barely getting by, or are stuck living their lives barely getting by. For Barbara, while she was in the Key West, she was able to make enough each month and still be able to pay for the necessities. But she only had, quote, $22 left over, close quotes, page 197, period. Because of this, she does not have enough money left over to either begin saving up, invest, or afford luxuries. These people who seem to be hanging on by a thread, I note the interesting analogy there, continuously hear the footsteps of homelessness and bankruptcy approaching them. Very effective creative writing there. Semicolon. This situation causes an unhealthy amount of stress for anyone, no matter how thick-skinned they may be. Barbara's experiment only further confirmed what I knew to be true prior to reading this novel. For example, I knew that the belief that a job was the ticket out of poverty was a stance of ignorance, but I remain holding on to the belief that one can work and slide their way out of a minimum wage workforce, a workforce designed for teens experiencing their first job or for people entering the working world. Barbara also confirmed for me the gruesome work conditions these low-level workers experience. For example, while working as a maid in Maine, Barbara's workmate tripped in a hole in the ground, but continued to work with an injured ankle because her company did not provide paid absence. This example is one of the many issues lower-class people face that is in dire need of reform. So Jack is acknowledging 2 points from the book there. First, the difficult working conditions, okay, and also the fact that if you're injured, you continue to work. So he is acknowledging 2 points that Barbara makes that he agrees with. Now, he's going to go on and disagree with Barbara in his next paragraph. Contrary to Barbara's belief, I do not believe that low-wage Americans are in a state of emergency. It should be stated, however, that the facts from Barbara's experiment and the research conducted by many economic experts are undeniable, and these people are in a terrible situation. With that said, so he's disclaiming, he's modifying, and saying, I'm about to disagree with this, which is totally appropriate. There are a few reasons to disagree with Barbara. Let's see. Can't make out that next word there. Something as infallible as Barbara would like to believe she is. She turns the page. She makes mistakes, and she admits she does. While in Minneapolis, Barbara should have pulled herself together and taken the better paying job, a mistake that cost her a significant amount of income. One other major flaw in her experiment is that she never gave herself the opportunity to build a network, nor did she stay anywhere long enough to rise up in the ranks. So he talks about failure to build a network, failure to rise up over having a good work record, right? These 2 simple strategies could have drastically changed her situation and shown that one can, in fact, rise up out of living on minimum wage. Call it whatever you want, a state of emergency, an effect of laziness, These people are rarely stuck with the low-wage lives they are living. Throughout reading this novel, it continuously thought back to one of my favorite movies, The Pursuit of Happiness. Although a fictional story, this film gives a contrasting belief to Barbara's. Hard work and a relentless pursuit of success can land you a better job and better life, as it did for Will Smith and his son. So nice. He's inserted a modern day example, The Pursuit of Happiness, based on a true story, to refute Barber's premise. Now we're going to go into the conclusion and see how he pulls it all together. This book teaches that sometimes even a job does not suffice. Suffice, nice, followed by a semicolon. One can still be employed and live in poverty. This book often will give a reader extra motivation to work hard and strive for a more successful life, and also gives the reader awareness of the unfortunate situation millions of Americans live in today and the help that they need. Aside from the main purpose and ideas of the novel, this book also teaches us that although society likes to believe that the market is modus operandi and that this is innate for all people, these low-income workers do not have the privilege of partaking in the free market. As heartless as it may sound, one quote that kept coming to mind was from another great movie, Caddyshack, that says, "The world needs ditch diggers too." This shows that people in the low-wage workforce are vital to the well-oiled machine that is America, and for this they should be accommodated as such. It goes without saying these people are not given the credit and the compensation they deserve, and the question comes to mind, who is going to change this? So that's a thoughtful commentary. This is a very well-written paper. He uses semicolons and dashes effectively. The vocabulary is impressive. He has multiple allusions to Caddyshack and Pursuit of Happiness. He has an opening analogy about the broken limb, comparing that to a broken system. He shows us what he does agree with from the book, and then he takes issue with Barbara Ehrenreich and challenges and pushes back on her premises. This is a well-executed essay. Now, you have a second essay written by Gabe Caceres about Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. What you're going to do for the last half of class is you're going to read it, and you're going to break down what makes this essay work. What does he do successfully to earn an A+ on this paper? You can discern some of the reasons why just based on my notes. I would like you to draw your own conclusions or to take a look at this and say why you think it is a well-written paper. And then I want you to talk a little bit about what your plan is to write a well-written paper for next Thursday. So you're writing this on your own paper, scratch paper in the corner of the room, back there in the corner if you want to, or your own notebook paper, and then you're going to keep these two models for yourself. Tomorrow, on Friday, you're going to have a graded Harkness discussion. You will each get 3 chips, and you need to speak and throw the chips down 3 times in order to get your 10 points on Friday. If you're absent on Friday, the assignment simply will not count for you, okay? But you'll speak 3 times using the 2 sheets over nickel and dimed, and you guys are in charge of running that discussion for the full 40 minutes, and our substitute teacher will be tracking it, and I'll be checking to see that all 3 of you have 3 arrows pointing to your name by the end of the period. All right, thank you very much, and have a good day.